The first time I noticed my firewood pile shrinking, I thought maybe I'd miscounted. I'd spent 3 weekends last fall splitting and stacking 2 full cords of oak and maple, enough to get me through the winter in my cozy cabin-style home. But by mid-December, the stack looked noticeably smaller. I'm Marcus, and I'd moved into Pinewood Estates HOA community 6 months earlier, excited about the wooded lots and the promise of a quiet life. What I hadn't counted on was Patricia Dennings, the HOA president and self-appointed neighborhood watchdog who lived directly across the street. The second time I noticed logs missing, I knew something was up. I'd counted them that morning. 43 pieces stacked neatly on my covered side porch. By evening, there were 38. 5 logs don't just walk away. I decided to stay up and watch. At 11:47 p.m., I saw her. Patricia, wrapped in a designer puffer jacket, crept across the street with a wheelbarrow, bold as brass. She loaded up 6 of my best oak logs and wheeled them back to her house. I watched through my window, stunned by the audacity. The next morning, I marched over and knocked on her door. She answered with that tight smile I'd come to recognize, the one that never reached her eyes. "Marcus, what can I do for you?" she asked, blocking the doorway. "Patricia, someone's been taking firewood from my porch. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?" Her expression didn't change. "Firewood? Oh my goodness, how terrible. You should really report that to the HOA. We take theft very seriously in Pinewood Estates." "Right," I said slowly. "The thing is, I saw the person. Last night, around midnight." Something flickered across her face, but she recovered quickly. "Well, I certainly hope you catch them. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an HOA meeting prepared for." She started to close the door. "Patricia, have a wonderful day, Marcus." The door clicked shut. I stood there, fury building in my chest. Through her side window, I could clearly see my oak logs stacked next to her fireplace. My logs, in her house. Over the next week, I tried everything official. I filed a complaint with the HOA board, but Patricia dismissed in the meeting, claiming I had no proof and suggesting I was simply bad at managing my wood supply. I called a non-emergency police line, but they said it was a civil matter without concrete evidence. I even tried setting up a security camera, but Patricia immediately sent me a violation notice citing HOA bylaws about surveillance equipment pointed at neighboring properties. The woman was untouchable, and she knew it. That's when my best friend Carlos came over, took one look at my dwindling wood pile, and started laughing. "What's so funny?" I demanded. "Dude, you're approaching this all wrong. You can't beat her with rules. She IS the rules. You need to get creative." He grinned. "How much do you love that firewood?" "What do you mean?" "I mean, what if some of those logs weren't actually wood?" The idea hit me like lightning. Carlos owned a landscaping business and had access to concrete molds and materials. That weekend, we got to work in his workshop, creating the most beautiful fake logs I'd ever seen. We used quick-setting concrete, carefully textured and painted to look exactly like aged oak. We even added bark chips pressed into the surface while it was wet. The weight was perfect, maybe even heavier than real wood, but they looked absolutely identical to my genuine logs. On Sunday evening, I carefully replaced the top layer of my wood pile with 12 concrete logs, positioning them where they'd be easiest to grab. Then I installed a new security camera hidden inside a birdhouse, angled carefully to watch only my own property. HOA compliant, technically speaking. I didn't have to wait long. Tuesday night at 11:34 p.m., my phone buzzed with motion alert. I pulled up the camera feed and watched Patricia emerge from her house with her wheelbarrow. She looked around nervously, then hurried across the street to my porch. I crept to my window to watch the show. She loaded 4 concrete logs into her wheelbarrow like she'd done this 100 times. Quick, efficient, entitled. But when she tried to push the wheelbarrow, nothing happened. She pushed harder. The wheelbarrow didn't budge. I had to cover my mouth to keep from laughing out loud. Patricia's face, illuminated by her phone's flashlight, twisted in confusion. She tried pulling instead of pushing. The wheelbarrow lurched backward, and one of the logs rolled out, hitting the ground with thunderous thud that echoed through the quiet neighborhood. She froze. Lights started coming on in nearby houses. Panicking, she tried to lift the log back into the wheelbarrow. She couldn't. She tried with both hands, grunting with effort, her designer jacket riding up. The log didn't move an inch. More porch lights flicked on. Mr. Chun from next door opened his door. "Everything okay out there?" Patricia abandoned the wheelbarrow and scrambled back to her house, leaving everything behind. The wheelbarrow, the concrete logs, and my camera recording it all. The next morning, I printed still frames from the video showing Patricia clearly taking items from my property. At the HOA meeting that evening, I presented my evidence to the entire board with Patricia sitting right there, her face turning crimson. "As you can see," I said calmly, "someone has been stealing from my property multiple times. The police report is filed, and I have timestamps for each incident." "Those could be anyone's logs," Patricia stammered. "You can't prove." "Actually, Patricia, these particular logs are special. They're concrete, made specifically to catch a thief." I let that sink in. "Your wheelbarrow is still on my lawn, with 3 concrete logs in it. I'd be happy to have the police come verify the evidence." The room went silent. Board member Julie Henderson, who'd never liked Patricia anyway, spoke up first. I motioned for Patricia's immediate removal as HOA president for theft and abuse of power. "Seconded," said 3 people simultaneously. Patricia's reign ended that night. She avoided me for weeks, until finally putting her house up for sale in February. The day the moving truck arrived, I was splitting real wood on my porch. She couldn't even make eye contact as she drove past one final time. My new firewood pile is fully stocked now. Funny thing is, I've never had another piece go missing. Word travels fast in HOA communities, and apparently, nobody wants to risk loading concrete into their wheelbarrow. Sometimes the best revenge isn't explosive. It's just heavy.